Hey guys, Kevin Downey from Kevin M. Downey. Thanks so much for taking the time today. Really appreciate it. This video, I want to talk about AI for marketing, the 12 categories, 150 plus use cases where you can use AI in a standalone or manual use, no integration, no agentic AI, literally just as a standalone thing. You can use AI to build marketing content, to build out marketing stuff in your organization. It's usually the first department I work with in companies, whether we're coming in and doing just a single working session or, the retained clients that I have. One of the first things I do beyond working with principals is I work with the marketing department, because what we want to cover on the front end for any company is standalone manual use of AI in the various departments. And the marketing department has the most opportunity there. Every department has some, but the marketing department has the most, where almost everything you need to do, right, sans a couple of things of tying in integrated, right, into Canva maybe, or a couple of things. Almost all of it can be done standalone manual use case, meaning you're just using the chat, putting in files, putting in assets, using voice, using recordings, whatever it is, and you can build out of it, right, in Claude. Right? So I want to walk through some stuff here today on just some examples, kind of go through this AI for marketing just quickly. The 12 main categories, there's over 150 use cases in there. And then I'm going to show you a couple of specific things that are really neat about Claude Design, which is new. And we've tested that and it's phenomenal. We've got clients already using it. It's great. And then a specific use case with audio for marketing departments that can be extremely powerful, because you can utilize audio interviewing people within the company as well to build out, repurpose content. You can create audio, you can create video, you can create written documentation, assets, social graphics, one-pagers, slide pitch decks, everything, right? Out of just one audio, right? And I want to show you what that looks like. All right, so let's first walk through AI for marketing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And we're just going to cover the 12 main categories. You can look on the screen. And if you want a copy of this, we give this to clients and prospects. We've got a whole library of documentation, actually, that we give to clients. Cheat sheets and the general training outline that we walk through. I've got all kinds of fun stuff, right? So if you're a marketing person, you're an owner, got a marketing person, or you do marketing for yourself in your organization, you're going to love this. This is just great stuff. Great stuff. Great use of AI. And if you haven't used AI for this yet, it's so powerful. All right, 12 categories of AI marketing. Written content, usually the first thing everybody does with it, right? Don't forget voice, by the way. I talked about this in other videos. Don't forget to use your voice. Voice to text, audio. I'm going to talk about it deep at the end. Don't forget about that to build written content or to build any kind of content. You can give Claude more to work with if you use voice, because you're going to be deeper and give it more context. And so it has more to work with. So that's one thing to remember. Written content. One of the first things everybody does with AI in business, written content. It's great at it. Even if it does nothing but give you certain keywords, phrases, maybe reorganizes thoughts, cold emails. I've used it to build all kinds of different things. It's a workhorse in that regard. All right. Written content, first thing. Email marketing, that's part of written content, technically speaking. Email marketing, very, very powerful. Newsletters, proof, redo them, have Claude help write them, or AI. Business to business, which was my expertise, short form, block style, text only emails to drive leads. It's a beast. I had to train it on some strategy over time, but it works really well for that. Social media content, everything you can imagine, graphics, you name it. If you're on social media with your company, you can use it for so many different things there. All right. Great stuff. SEO and search, right? Building out your website copy, building out your SEO strategy, content for SEO, page titling, image titling, all kinds of stuff, obviously. Visual and graphic design. We'll look at Claude Design here briefly. I'm just going to show you one thing that I did. It was the first thing I did with it when it launched last week, just to test it. It was good. It was a little slower than I thought it would be at first, but once I dug into it, I kind of understand it, because it does take a bit of a long time, relatively speaking, for AI to pump out polished PDFs. It takes minutes, right? Sometimes 5 minutes. This one probably took 5 to 7 minutes for it to pump out. But visual and graphic design, starting to play with video. So that's good. That was the next topic, right? So that's part of visual. Short form video without a production crew, right? All day long. You become an expert just within this, how much time and money it can save a marketing department, right? Audio and repurposing, one of my absolute favorite use cases of AI for marketing departments is this. It actually goes deeper than marketing departments because it can go across the whole company and every department, but marketing in particular can use this, right? So you can take, and I'll show you an example of this, but you can take an audio recording, and it could be an interview, which is what I teach marketing departments to do with different people in their organization. Owner, I have one, I give you one that was great, but you can go owner, every department leader, executives, product specialists, engineering guys and gals, whomever, interview them about something about the company that has to do with, it can have to do with employment, obviously, so the HR department can ultimately use it, but going to what you would publicly put out there about your organization, your products, your services, whatever it is, right? There's just so much you can do. Marketing department interviews that person. You take that audio and you can turn it into an endless supply of content. So you've got the full audio. You can turn that into a video. You can do snippets of audio and video. You can turn it into one-pagers and pitch decks and documentation and everything. You've got so many different things you can do with it just from a single interview. I have one client that took it even further, and it came out of our training. It was one of our first clients, actually. And the gal that runs the marketing is really, really smart lady. And she said, well, if I interview the principal, the owner, right, the founder of the company, obviously there was a lot of things they could bring out of him first, right, to use for content and to create topics and all kinds of things they want to do across the different departments. But one of the things that came out of that is they had to do 2 sessions because he had a hard stop. And so they went like an hour plus on the first one and then over an hour on the second one. And what came out of that was not just their company history, right, which is really cool because there's all kinds of content, but she's actually turning it into a mini book, which I thought was phenomenal. Great idea. Give it away. It's like a big, deep pamphlet, right? The history of the company, what they do, what makes them different, owner's philosophy on running businesses, all that kind of stuff, right? And they've been around a long time, very successful. And I thought that was a phenomenal idea. And think about this. Because the business does really well and very successful, long history, when they go to exit, that piece is huge. What a story. What a story for an investment firm to purchase that company or a private buyer. It's just amazing. But I'm going to show you a really good example of that here in a minute. Strategic and branding and messaging, huge. This goes to the written part, but just digging into Claude, talking about, hey, here's what we do, here's who we are, here's our customer base, here's target audience on Apollo, this is the employee count size, whom should we target? What should we do with our messaging to this audience, to that audience? And obviously the general branding stuff. It's just beautiful for all of that. It's just great, right? Sales enablement content, pitch decks, scripts, all kinds of stuff here. I had Claude help with, and I did, we've been recruiting and training reps for 10 years. That's how I started my agency, right? So I don't really need a ton of help in theory with reps doing cold outreach and their pitch and process for business development and all that. But the truth is I gave Claude our stuff and actually it helped. It actually improved my reps pitch, tightened it down a lot shorter. Really good stuff. And again, I've got, over 10 years experience in doing that as an agency for clients. It's just so helpful there, right? Advertising and paid media, all of this stuff. Like if you're doing any, again, what all of it is, but you're talking Google ads, you're talking about, visual ads and all the social media channels and all that stuff. Like you can do all of that content with AI now, right? Customer and community content. Oh, turning existing customers into marketing assets. Here's another one. Going beyond the interview of the founder that I talked about, or interviewing people in the company to build marketing content and other content, is interviewing customers, getting testimonials, turning that into content. Just endless, right? And AI doing that. And then finally, 12th category, PR and thought leadership. Obviously, that's going to go to the written and all kinds of things you can do there. Just amazing. Just amazing what you can do from a marketing standpoint. And again, all standalone manual use case. None of this requires integrated or agentic AI. You're not having to tie it into any other software. You can, but you don't have to. And you can make use of AI for marketing in these ways. It's just so powerful, endlessly powerful for our marketing department. And marketing people in general are diving in with AI. Occasionally, I get a little bit of pushback. There's a little bit of that, protecting their craft. If they're a really good graphic designer, a really good copywriter, you're going to have some that are going to protect their craft a little bit and be a little bit defensive, as you can imagine. But I just tell them, look, your production comes out. Like it's a multiplier. Think of it like that. It's taking your baseline thoughts, your writing, and now you can just multiply what you can do. So you've increased your value to the company, right? Or if you're a freelancer, you increase what you can do in a time period. Graphic design, same thing, right? Like, yes. So give it your original and then work with it to build from there, right? And you can multiply what you can do. All right, let's take a look at a couple of things. Here's a deep one. This is audio. We talked about this a little bit. Audio to everything. So my first test of using Claude in this way was to do a 30-minute audio brain dump on B2B email marketing from an outline. So my outline's maybe like, half a page, just to cover the general categories. I did it for so long that I know most all of it off the top of my head. There may be some numbers in scaling email from day to day early on that I had to reference again. But other than that, I knew it in my head, the infrastructure and everything, copywriting strategies, targeting, building targeted lists, all that stuff. So I brain dumped it using voice memos on my iPhone. I didn't even have to use Whisper, Flow, or Otter, which I like those. Letterly is another one that's pretty good. I actually used Apple's transcription that's built into the iPhone, whether it's part of voice memos or not. You grab it out of voice memos, right? You just hit the little dots and then it says transcription, right? You can just copy the whole dang thing. So this is almost 30 minutes and 5,000 words, right? Complete brain dump. I gave it to Claude. Claude, turn this into an organized piece, an article, if you will, or a guide, right? And that's what this chat is. And I think the black and white is here. There we go. So the first thing it's going to do, it's going to turn it into, in this case, it did PDF, but sometimes it'll use a different format. Doesn't really matter because I'm not going to save it, keep it like this. But this is the black and white. So this is step one, and it was dead on accurate. There was not anything wrong with it. It even caught my pullback in the audio where I had to correct something. It caught that. Okay. And then I had it turn it into, we have kind of some branding, a look on PDFs out of Claude that we like to use. This would be a good example. I've got a couple of quick cheat sheets that we don't go as deep with this on, but this is kind of our look that we have built with Claude that we want for our assets that we build in Claude, right? Certain color scheme, look, that kind of thing. And so the first step was to give me the black and white. Then the second step was to turn it into one of these PDFs. And this is what it gave me. This was one of the first deep thing, like blown away moments on Claude. I was just blown away at the accuracy level. So this took 2 steps. Took me 30 minutes to record. It took it about 3 minutes to give me that organized black and white piece, and maybe another 4 to 5 minutes to put it into a nice polished PDF. And we've done better with the PDFs over time with a little more graphics and a little more color. This is one of the early ones, so it's not quite as fancy. But you can see, and everything was dead on. It was flawless. Flawless. And that's rare that you can ever say that. Like literally flawless in terms of what it pumped out. Not just the content and the accuracy and ordering it properly, because I actually didn't give it a good order. I actually kind of skipped around. It actually took everything and built it into an ordered structure and told me what it wanted to do before it gave me that black and white. And then it did the black and white. And then we did this. So it took 2 steps, and you're talking 45 minutes. And I have an absolute dead-on accurate tutorial for people on B2B cold email. Infrastructure, copywriting, building targeted lists, everything. Spin taxing and copywriting, everything. Just absolutely amazing how accurate this is. So you can use AI with not just voice to text, which I love because voice to text is a better way to use AI as a thought partner. There's times to type, there's no doubt, but generally speaking, I use voice to text. And then when we're refining, I'll type things back, right? Or if it's a really short answer, type it back, right? Especially if I'm on my computer. If I'm on my phone, I probably use voice to text almost 100% of the time. But anyway, you can go much deeper with it as a thought partner, right? And you can do some beautiful things with marketing content that way. And again, every other department in the company, if you do voice, you can grab and build SOPs and knowledge bases and documentation and onboarding documentation. I mean, just every department, you got some kind of use case, right? Basically. Just amazing. The power of using AI. And it's not difficult. Like once you dig into it and you start using it as a thought partner, all this stuff just happens. You can just do it all. You just have to learn not to use it as a search engine, first and foremost. One of the golden rules, right? It's not a search engine. You can't work with it that way. You have to think of it as a person and you have to explain things. Give it context, give it depth, right? All right, let's look at last thing on marketing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just my first test. So I gave Claude Design, which is still just Claude. It's just a different framework within Claude, but it's still Claude. I clarified that with Claude. It's still the same Claude, if you will. I took it and I gave it one of our base thumbnails for YouTube, and then I had it recreate one of the thumbnails, taking my logo or agency logo or my caricature, if you will, in this case, because we don't use the Kevin M. Downey logo on here. We put it just in text. But I had it take, AI for business is the main, and then, the title of the video, and then just Kevin M. Downey. That's it. And I gave it that, and I had it create our thumbnail. And I said, well, give me a bunch of different colors, like color combinations and stuff. And it did it. And it gave me some colors I've deleted off the screen. There's a few of these I still don't like. That's kind of, there's a couple that are just okay. Let me see. I like the gray and orange. I don't really like the orange and red. Don't really like this green one that much. It gave me a few early on that were a little ugly from my point of view. But it gave me a lot of stuff right away that I love. Like I like this here. I love this color. I love that. Just so neat. And again, if you're a marketing person, you're an owner and you do your own marketing assets, you've got a marketing person. If they're not using Claude Design in the ways that we've talked about today, we got to get them going. The production that they will be able to do, just think of it from a bottom line standpoint. Their value to you and your company, their value in the marketplace increases exponentially when they incorporate AI into doing marketing, everything marketing for your company, right? So that's what I wanted to cover today. Hopefully this helps you. If you want some help, you want to get on a working session. We work very simply. We have basically 3 different kind of ways we charge clients. We have dedicated flat fee working sessions at $350. That's usually the first thing we do with a client, I do with a client. Then we have our retained program, fractional retained program, where I am working with the client continuously on all the team members. It's a flat fee per month, so you get a better deal out of it that way. And then depends on company size. And then finally, we do custom integrated and agentic projects, and we custom quote those at an hourly rate with a not to exceed number of hours and total dollar figure. If you want to jump into that conversation, we need you to fill out this form to get a quote. Even if I talk to you on a call, we actually still need this filled out and completed because we need the accuracy in the information, a little bit of context with video or audio, and it's on type form, and also some screenshots or something, PDF, CSV, something that is what it is that the AI is going to be working with in an integrated or agentic type project. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here today. Want to wish you the best of luck in business in 26, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.